The time is now to architect a life of excellence. What will we do? Who will we become? We decide today. This is Learn, Do, Become Radio with April and Eric Perry. Let's move onward and upward together.
Hi, I'm April Perry, and welcome to today's podcast. Today we're sharing lesson number 3 from our holiday planning workshop, which is being co-sponsored by LearnDoBecome.com and PowerOfMoms.com. Now, if you haven't yet accessed the first 2 lessons, they are here on the podcast, or you can get them and all the photos and templates and videos and the future lessons at LearnDoBecome.com/holiday or PowerOfMoms.com/holiday. Either one takes you to the same page. And when you give us your name and email, we will send you the lessons and you'll have a chance to get the login. Now, today we're talking about how to organize using paper. A lot of us like to organize digitally, but a lot of people enjoy using a hybrid approach. So in this lesson, I'm going to talk about how I used Post-it notes and a big sheet of paper in order to organize all the things that I'd brainstormed for our family's holiday. This process actually helps reduce the stress immensely, and it's so easy, but you may want a visual to go with today's audio. That's where I want you to come sign up at LearnDoBecome.com/holiday or PowerOfMoms.com/holiday. You sign up and then you'll get access where we send one lesson to you at a time and give you the photos, give you the details, and give you templates of your own that make it so easy. The holidays can get extremely overwhelming, and our goal is not to give you a whole bunch of stuff to do. It's to help you figure out what you already want to do and then get those things into a system that reduces the overwhelm. Does that sound so exciting? So enjoy today's audio and make sure you sign up at LearnDoBecome or PowerOfMoms.com/holiday. Congratulations! You've made it to lesson 3 of the Learn, Do, Become holiday planning workshop. At this point, you've already completed lesson 1, where you had a conversation or a planning session with your family members to identify the purpose and principles and outcome vision. And you've already created your brainstorm, where you've identified the different categories that you're planning and working with this season, and you brainstormed all the details that will be going with those categories. Now, here in lesson 3, we're going to begin organizing. I recommend doing this by date. So we want to know what we need to do right now, what we need to do in a couple of weeks, what we need to do after that. And depending on when you're going through this exercise, your timeline will be a little bit different than mine. But I'll just share how I went through this process, and then you can adapt this to your needs. So if you want to do this with paper, that's how I'm going to describe this current process. Then in the next lesson, we'll share how you could do this in a digital format. So using paper, I got out a stack of Post-it notes and I sat in front of my brainstorm. And I brought the sub-projects from the brainstorm onto the Post-it notes. Some of them were able to be combined, and I'll describe that a little bit more as it goes. But then I started moving these Post-it notes around a bigger sheet of paper, and I'll include a photo along with this lesson audio. All right, so on these Post-it notes, I actually put a little number on the top right corner to show the order in which I wrote them. Not because that really matters to you, but I want you to be able to see that they weren't all created in the order that they ended up being on the paper. But I went through the brainstorm and I started recording the various sub-projects that need to happen. So for example, I need to research service opportunities, and I want to do that fairly early so that we'll have time to do them together as a family. Also, there's a list of things that I need to purchase in order to be able to have the materials on hand to bake or do some of the at-home activities that our family members want to do. So it's purchasing ingredients, it's purchasing some supplies, it's purchasing a few of the little gifts I already know that I'm going to buy. And so I wrote all of that down on a little Post-it note. Then there's also things like, okay, if we're going to be sending out a card, getting those photos chosen or getting the card designed and writing up the newsletter that's going to go along with it, buying envelopes and stamps. And there's some calendar items that we need to do. So I wrote down, okay, we need to calendar some open days so we'll have time to go play in the snow. If there's a special festival that we want to attend, so I need to find out when that's scheduled. I'm sure it's already on the calendar somewhere. So I'm going to go find that and make sure it's on our calendar. And looking for some free concerts or other activities that are going to be happening in the area, or other parties or events that may be happening in our school or in our local church congregation. So I just started writing down, what do I need to calendar? What do I need to buy? What do I need to order? What kinds of discussions do I need to have? What decisions need to be made? And I just went through and put all of those on Post-it notes. And as I wrote them down, I just kind of set them on the bigger piece of paper in the spot where I thought they might end up. So things that feel more urgent, I put them up towards the top. And things that I thought, I could do that, after Thanksgiving, or I could do that right before the holiday, I put that at the bottom. I also want to take just a moment to talk about the budgeting that's going to go with this process. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're not going to just spend a whole lot of money and go into debt because now we're trying to buy a lot of stuff for everybody in our lives. The way that we do this in our family is we have a pretty similar budget for things like our tree, and we have a budget for each child as far as what we spend on their gifts. And then most of what we do actually is free. We'll do a lot of service activities, we'll do a lot of activities with friends, and we have a very simple gift budget for extended family, for our friends, for teachers, and things like that. What we try to do is limit our spending as much as possible on stuff, but then typically we have a budget for being able to make donations or being able to go perhaps on a trip as a family, being able to do some of those activities that really matter to us. We always make sure that we have enough money in cash that we've set aside available for this season so that when we're buying stamps for the cards or when we're buying all these supplies for the things that we're baking, we're not feeling stressed in the process. I'm not going to go into detail on how to budget for the holidays in this holiday workshop because I'm focusing more on how to structure your projects and tasks. And there are other people who specialize in budgets and are much better at that than I am. But I do make sure that I'm only spending money that we actually have and that my husband and I agree we're going to spend on our holiday activities. I also want to add that there have been many times over the past 20 years since Eric and I got married where we really limited the things that we were doing as far as travel or gifts we were purchasing or even the number of cards that we mailed because we wanted to protect our budget. And I think that's absolutely okay. You don't have to have a ton of presents and you don't have to go on a huge cruise or a huge trip in order to celebrate the holidays. Often the very inexpensive, simple experiences are the ones that are the most memorable. And I want to add that now that we're in a financial situation where I don't need to be worried about how many stamps that I'm purchasing, I still find that I gravitate towards the activities that don't have a financial component because they have been the most memorable ones for us. So hopefully that will be helpful. So once I was done, I'd gone through the entire brainstorm and I'd pulled out all of these sub-projects and tasks and all these different reminders. Then I sat down and I put all of them in the appropriate spot on the paper. So I ended up with about 5 at the top and then 6 on the next line, 4 on the next line, and 2 on the bottom line. So it's just 4 groupings. And then because I'm recording this at the end of October, I wrote down early November, mid-November, after Thanksgiving, and December. Now, let's say your family celebrates Christmas and you're doing this planning session 5 days before. You might say today, tomorrow, right? The following day, day before, Christmas Eve, whatever. So this is up to you. If you're planning well in advance, then you're going to have larger windows. If you're planning just super close to the holiday, you're obviously going to have smaller windows. So this will be up to you. But by the end of this exercise, you'll end up with a very doable list, hopefully doable. If it's not doable, we need to do a little more editing. You'll end up with a very doable list that's organized with specific deadlines. So I know over the next 15 days, I don't need to worry about every single thing that our family wants to do during the holiday season. I don't have to have every service project planned. I don't have to have all travel details organized. I just need to do the top 5 or 6 things that I've got identified. So hopefully this can be a simple process for you. Just get a stack of Post-it notes, maybe have a piece of poster board, or you could do this in a little office area and stick the Post-it notes on the wall, or sit down at a big table and just put them in front of you or put them on sheets of paper. But this will hopefully help your mind to be able to move things around and be able to help you to see that all of this actually can get done bite by bite by bite. Let's talk about the best way to eat an elephant, right? So one bite at a time, except no one wants to eat an elephant. So we're going to focus on one step at a time, and it's going to feel amazing. And then you're going to start to breathe better, and you'll think, okay, I think we can actually have a beautiful, memorable holiday season, even though there might be a lot of other stuff going on in the background. But we're going to enjoy our family, and we're going to feel like this was well worth our time and energy. Okay, good luck, and we will see you in the next lesson. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed today's audio about organizing using paper. Now, maybe you were able to just visualize it and you're feeling good about moving forward, which is awesome. If you're thinking, I want to see pictures, I want to know more, I want to get a template, and I want you to help me with the rest of this, then please remember to come sign up and share it with your friends. LearnDoBecome.com/holiday or powerofmoms.com/holiday. Have an amazing day, and we will see you soon.